Hey everybody, welcome to the Live from the Hammock podcast, Purple Friday, as always. Joined by Travis and Trey, and we're just gonna get right to it. Ravens Colts. Uh, Ravens lose in an overtime. I, my wife brought up a good point. Was this the first overtime game this season
Oh, for the
Mm,
NFL?
for the NFL?
I don't think
It
so.
might was it.
Was it? I
it
thought
I
there was
think
one week one.
was it might have been. I don't
Hold
know.
on.
Um, but
Not sure.
Ravens lose a heartbreaker to the Colts. Give Steichen a lot of credit. He did a really good coaching job, especially that was it that field goal. They were doing the field goal thing, and they were subbing out people, and they forced the Ravens to waste a timeout, and then of course Harbaugh came back and let Brett Urban like jog onto the field,
Yeah, I did like
force him to
that.
take a delay a game or something like that because they need more timeouts. But it was a rainy game. Not a lot of big throws by either team in the game. Mostly everything was on the ground. Zach Moss, the backup running back behind Jonathan Taylor, had a phenomenal game. He had 122 yards on the ground. Everybody got hurt. I mean, Ajabo got hurt during the game. Bateman got hurt with a hamstring. Gus got a concussion. Um, it just seems week to week, every week, right? It's like two or three guys just keep falling off for the starters for the Ravens. It's like how many you at some, and I think that's what it was during the game. At some point, you can't lose, but you can't have all your starters off the field and expect to win these football games. When Gus went out and when I think Bateman went out, they lost a lot of their any kind of power they had. Like it was literally just Zay Flowers and Nelson at that point. Likely was ineffective. Mark Andrews was, he was there, but it clearly see Monken has a knack or whatever. It's to get Zay Flowers the ball at by any means necessary.
Mhm.
Um, it was on all facets of the game. It was just bad. Justin Tucker missing his 61-yard field goal. Now, granted his field, like if Lamar doesn't take that sack there, if Lamar just throws that ball away, even if they get a yard or two, he probably makes that field goal. It's like 55, 56 yards. He probably makes it. They win the football game. So, and then when the win was coming at Justin Tucker in the stadium. So I don't knock him for that. Give credit to was it Matt Gay? That man hit 450 plus yard field goals.
Yeah.
Uh, I think they said he set a record. I think it was the
First
most
time
50-yard
NFL
field goals in
history.
the game,
Yeah.
most 50 plus yard field goals in the game. So shout out to him. Um, Defense, they played their butts off, all things considered. Jadeveon Clowney is clearly the best defensive lineman on the line. Even if he's not getting sacks, he is like pushing guys into the backfield. Like even Mike Preston was saying on the radio the other day, he looks better than he did when he was in Cleveland and or any other stop he's had in the NFL. I think the Ravens are clearly like you're going to be our power rush guy, you're going to be our Calais Campbell dude. That's what you're going to be doing, and he's taking that heads on. Broderick Washington and Matabike, they're inconsistent now at this point. Like I said, Ajabo went out. They had to go sign Cal Van Noy because they're out of line. They're out of outside linebackers. Tyus Bowser still hurt. Dafe's out. Jabo's out. Um, they had Michael Robinson or some other guys out there. Um, Special teams. Somebody made a really good point as I'm yelling on the TV during the game about special teams. They were like, you have to understand when you have this many starters out, a lot of your guys that are special teamers are now playing actual football time, like on offense and defense. So then you're asking them, especially on defense, oh, now you gotta get back out there and run special teams. They're already gassed. A lot of times when these guys are run special teams, that's a fresh unit. They're coming out there, they're able to run out. Like, what was that one? I think the one where they gave up in either overtime or in regulation, and the gunner just clearly overran his lane. He
Yeah.
ran past the football. It was like, and I mean, he left it wide open, and that's exactly where the guy ran right down that side for like 30 yards and got in decent field goal range. Um, the the blunder by John Harbaugh on that free kick after getting the safety, after literally, after Gardner Minshew pulls it down, Orlowski stepping outside the end zone, getting the safety, telling Zay Flowers to call fair catch. And the excuse Harbaugh gave was, oh, well, it was at 1:58 and then they switched the clock to 2:03. So he didn't have time. Mind you, before we started the podcast, they had that game on right now on NFL Network. I was watching that same exact play. They had plenty of time to signal in to Zay Flowers, hey, don't fair catch it.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of time to signal into him. You have one of the fastest people in the NFL. When he caught the football for fair catch, there was like nobody in front of her for about 15 yards. He had an opportunity to do something with it. And then he catches the football, and there's still 2:01 left on the clock, so they still had to run and play before the 2-minute warning. Mm-hmm. Like, all around that game, Lamar fumbling the football. He's now had, 5 or 6 fumbles now in the last 2 games. He's lost 2 of them. But he can't hold on to the football right now. It's just we go from week 2 where they played a really good game against a division opponent against the Bengals. And I think we talked about it on the chat. How many times do we see this with Harbaugh getting up for one game, right? And then they have a relaxation week during the week, and it shows up on game day. It clearly looked like, I think in the text in the group, did they practice? It felt like they didn't practice at all this week on offense. Like the defense gave every opportunity they could possibly give the offense to win that football game. They got stops on 4th and 1. They got a safety. They were doing everything. They got sacks. There's Kyle Hamilton got 3 sacks in the game. Mm-hmm. Gardner Minshew needs to turn his head. I don't know if he has you're supposed to have a second set of eyes, they said, in your back of your head when you're a quarterback. He clearly didn't, because every time he got sacked, Kyle Hamilton just ran him down. Yeah. And Gardner's still sitting there in the pocket, bam, get blasted by Kyle Hamilton. So it was sad too, because I don't know if it was a record, but he had a Pro Bowl game. That was a pro game by Kyle Hamilton. It was all wasted because the Ravens decided to lose against the Colts, and they know the history of the Colts in this city. It was just bad. Mm-hmm. I think by the time I got to overtime, I just wanted to be over at that point. I didn't even care. I was like, I just wanted to be over. Can this end? Because even if they win this game, I'm gonna feel like they lost. What are your guys' take on it? What you guys think?
Yeah, I guess I'll try to start with the good. From the defensive side of the ball, I honestly don't really have many complaints. The glaring issue that I've seen was obviously due to our injuries on the edge. We had Noah Jabo, Noah Way, and even though those guys weren't necessarily getting pass pressure, they were still playing pretty well against the run. And what we saw that whole game was Zach Moss breaking the edges, and our edge rushers were not keeping contained. Clowney did look good as far as rushing the QB. He was getting a lot of pressure, but on those edges, they were not setting the edge well whatsoever. So a lot of those big run plays were all run plays that were bounced to the outside because of that. So it just made it extremely difficult to manage that, plus managing the receivers as well crossing. So that was probably the most glaring thing was our D-line. Without that depth that we had in the first couple of weeks, it showed up big time. But other than that, they pretty much managed the game pretty well. They pretty much contained everything else. There was no big splash plays outside of the Michael Pittman catch down the field that crushed us. But outside of that, they pretty much held their own. Minshew dropped that dime to that pass to Zach Moss in the end zone that Patrick Queen had really, really good coverage on him, but he just turned around a little bit too early, and he lost. So if he would have turned his head around a little bit later and stayed with the runner, then he might have made a little bit better play. But you're asking him to make a perfect defensive play there, and that's not we don't really pay him for that. We pay him for good coverage, but that would have been a difficult play for anybody. So I can't blame him there. And like you said, Miles, this is probably the game where this is the most opportunities I've seen a defense give offense. In a lot in most of our games we watch, I can't remember a game where I was like, wow, we got another chance. Wow, we have another chance. Wow, we have another chance to put this away. and the offense just couldn't do it. One more thing on the defense, Kyle Hamilton obviously played phenomenal. It's kind of like the gift and the curse, though, because, you know, Mike McDonald put him in excellent position to be phenomenal. I mean, those play calls were perfect for the situations that he dialed him up in. But we only did that because we had no choice. Like defensively, we didn't have any pressure on the D line, so we had to get creative and generate pressure, and we had to use Kyle Hamilton for that. But still, kudos to him, because just because you put in position don't mean you're going to make the play, and he made some excellent plays early on in that game, including that strip sack as well. So yeah, that was just phenomenal effort by Kyle Hamilton. I still stand by him being a Pro Bowler this season, and he showed that in this game. Individual effort from him was A+. For the offense, I mean, you already hit on most of it. Lamar seemed really out of sync with the receivers. Maybe more so the receivers out of sync with Lamar. I'll say that. It really wasn't too much on Lamar outside of those turnovers. Obviously, you cannot do that. That's been a consistent issue with Lamar. Even last season, he's coming back this season and not take care of the ball. We did have some inclement weather, and I'm sure that played a factor. But he has to take care of that football. There were a few passes, a couple of them were to Zay, where the passes were, visibly behind the receiver, and I think that was more communication, because Lamar used to dropping back, and Andrews runs a lot of these same routes where he'll stop in his zone, he'll cut the route off, and he'll sit in the open zone and wait for, and he'll turn around and the ball will be there. Whereas Zay, he's used to catching the ball and flying out of there. So I think that'll get better over time, where he'll understand, if you're sitting between the linebacker and the safety and there's a soft zone there, you want to just park it there. You can cut your route off. And I think that Lamar was banking on Zay to do that a couple of times. A lot of those slants that he ran across the middle, Zay kept running, and that's why the passes were kind of slightly behind him. And it even happened on that play at the end where we got screwed with that pass interference. The ball was still slightly behind him, even though it was a visible, obvious defensive pass interference. And in our running game, once Gus went out the game, we lost our knockout punch running back to that concussion, and we were left with Melvin Gordon, who played solid for the most part. He did what we had to do, but Kenyon Drake had that early fumble, and that might have been in his head for the rest of the game, because we didn't really see him. He didn't really have any power. Our run game was pretty much shut down after Gus went out of the game. So we're looking forward to hopefully getting Gus back. He was at practice today, luckily. But yeah, without the run game, with all of that being said, we still had way too many opportunities to close out that game. The fact that we got back, they gave Lamar back the ball so many times, and we still couldn't close it out. So it was disappointing to see. Likely made probably the most crucial drops in the game. We could have had a first down with, I think it was a third down. Dropped it right out of it. Lamar threw probably the best pass he threw all game. Dropped it, and that would have been a game sealer as well. So he can't do that. I think that's a couple of drops likely has had this season that have been, pretty bad. Obviously we won the other two games, so it didn't really matter as much. And like you said, with the special teams, like, we're just running out of guys. I mean, we have Isaiah Likely on the punt team. Like, he's just running down the field. I don't think he was running down the field to make any plays. Like, I saw him running past a couple of punt returners, a couple of those punt returns in that game. So special teams, I mean, I'm gonna just put that on Harbaugh either way. I mean, you're a special teams head coach, so that still falls on you to figure out something. And if you don't have any confidence in your punt team or covering these kicks, then you need to not punt the ball to the returner. You need to punt it out of bounds or something. Stout's good enough to do that, but Stout's been doing great too. His punts have been phenomenal. But yeah, I just think I think we will bounce back. Roland in the comments said we'll bounce back. I think this is definitely a learning experience. I think they will get it together. I think hopefully they actually practice this week and correct it and focus on some of those mistakes, because what we saw in that Colts game, that Colts team did not belong on the same field as us. Like that's just a fact. They did not belong on the same field as us whatsoever. And you saw that from the first drive of the game. It was probably the best drive we've had all season, was that first drive of that football game. And it just nowhere to be found after that. So we're getting a couple of guys back. So hopefully that'll play the difference. Not to make excuses, but we did have a ton of guys out, and Lamar was under duress that whole game. The fact that he ran 400 yards, most of those were on pass plays. He was just scrambling, and he was just taking what the defense gave him. But that was a tough loss, a game that we really couldn't afford to lose because we got a tough schedule coming up. So we'll see. That's my take on that, though.
Yeah, I just want to quote like the great philosopher, theologian, prophet, and I want to reference him, man. I want to reference Miles, and saying that this was your prototypical Harbaugh game.
Mm-hmm.
Miles has been coining that phrase for probably 10 years now. But no, like this was a Harbaugh game, man. The guys did not come to play. Like it just looked like a team that like was just not ready. I mean, from the jump. I mean, I'm not even gonna say from the jump. They came out hot, but then it was just goofy plays after play, like the fumbles. Like it was just very careless, undisciplined football. Like we know we're more talented than you, so we don't have to try. We don't have to prepare. We don't have to be ready. Yeah, you're more talented, but we lost to the team because we did not execute. And I put that on the coach, man. I put that on the coach. I mean, there were some play calls that were a little baffling at times. And I think there were points where we got outcoached on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to start with defense. Defense was, man, Kyle Hamilton. Let me give him his flowers. My man had, 9 tackles, 3 sacks.
Right.
I mean, this guy is an all-pro. He's going to continue to show us that. I thought it was very interesting. I was messaging you all during the game. Like, they started scheming their plays to get away from Kyle Hamilton. It was kind of like, the Revis Island, but he's not creating an island. We're just going to run away from wherever he's at. We're going to run our play from wherever he's at. They were motioning a guy to see if Kyle Hamilton was going to be a man or what he was doing, because they were looking for that backside blindside blitz all game. And if you saw it at the end of the game, when the Colts were driving in overtime, both the last 2 drives, Kyle Hamilton backside blitz every play. They were trying to get that sack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Every play, we ran it over and over and over again, and probably to our detriment. But Kyle Hamilton was a one-man wrecking crew throughout that game. I mean, other guys played well, but really him. But yeah, I really want to touch on what you said, Trey, and I think Miles, you said it too. Like, we were really lacking in injuries. We weren't able to set the edge. Like, the one thing, always almost when it comes to getting sacks, but this man he sets that edge. And reminiscent of the Courtney Upshaws, the Adalius Thomases, like he sets that edge in the run game that allows our linebackers to be able to flow. And we saw it, every time. There were times they motioned Kyle Hamilton to the other side of the field when he was in man, and they ran. I don't remember if it was a counter or if it was just an off tackle play, but they ran right that side. It bounced out, and there was nothing but space.
Nothing
because
there,
we had nobody to set that edge. So, I mean, that was just something that was very evident. That was the only weak spot I was saying in the game. But big shout out to our defense, man. They've been balling out this year. I mean, there have been mistakes in each game, but they've been balling out. Offensively, it's just too damn sloppy, man. I mean, and I think with the exception, like you think about two out of the 3 games this season, we've seen nothing but sloppy football, and that's week 1 and week 3. Lamar just can't be so careless with the ball. Granted, I think one of the plays he got his arm hit when he fumbled, but I don't know what that other play was. Like when he was, I don't know.
They said it should have been the tuck rule.
It was like the tuck rule,
but they said they got rid of it now. It's not there. So
try to fake it and try to throw it in.
That was 2 years ago. That's a complete pass.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. It's something where Lamar has to be a little bit more cautious because I think you said that he has 5 fumbles so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
That's inexcusable. That's not something. That's not championship football. I like what he did in the passing game early on. I mean, he was like 9 for 9 in the first quarter, 90 something yards. As the game wore on, it was a little bit tougher for him. But I think a lot of that is due to the carelessness. I mean, he didn't attempt to pass until what, like a
In the
minute
second
left
quarter.
in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
No, the whole second
Um,
quarter I don't think he threw. Did he throw any passes in the second
he had,
quarter?
Didn't
Second
they have a
quarter.
drive before the half, right?
I thought he didn't throw one pass though. I think before the half,
They had one play for 14 yards before the half.
yeah, that was. I don't.
Then they
even
That
had
wasn't a
3
pass.
plays. No, I
No
think they
passes.
were going to be pass plays, but Lamar ended up
Oh,
running.
okay. My
Yeah.
bad. So
They were
no
going to be
pass
pass plays,
plays in the
Lamar ended up
second
running.
quarter. That's like not acceptable with the 263, $83 million quarterback. I mean, the ball he needs to set himself up to be successful, and the offensive staff needs to set him up for success. I mean, we had it going early. I don't know what we went away from. I don't know scheme wise what happened. I didn't dig too deep into the all 22 this week, but that needs to improve. But my bright spot, as it has been every week, I'm just going to talk about my man Zay Flowers. Um, man, I did see the all 22 play where the play we got screwed on. If he gets that pass, he's going to the house. It
Touchdown.
was
If
nothing
the
but
guy,
space.
if the guy doesn't put him,
Nothing but space. We gotta fix whatever this miscommunication is because it has shown in each and every game this year that there's either a lack of trust or lack of communication. The guys just aren't fully on the same page yet. Hey, maybe it's our third preseason game, so we should expect next week a better product. But I think we need more communication. The last thing I want to say is, man, injuries are really prevalent and it's really hurting us in this run game. I mean, we lost Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. We can't depend on Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake. We can't
if
because
you're depending on practice squad running backs every week, you're in trouble.
This isn't 2018 Melvin Gordon. You know what I mean? I was on the Broncos and couldn't make the team that just got blown out this week. So we really gotta analyze what we're gonna do with their running back position. You all know where I want to go. Go get JT, throw the picks at him. But overall, I give the defense an A, I give the offense a C minus, and I give the coaching staff a D for this game.
Yeah, I was just looking at like the game log. That first drive they had, obviously was a touchdown, 12 plays, 80 yards. The second drive, Kenyon Drake fumble, 3 plays, 53 yards. After that, the Ravens didn't have one drive over 30 yards until they got that second touchdown. Yeah. I mean, it was
bad offense.
It's just the sad part about the Ravens right now is just like people have already started. They're seeing people on the talking head shows and stuff already saying, "Are the Ravens legit? Are the Ravens for real? Did we get too high on the Ravens with this new offense?" But they're saying it's the Greg Roman offense all over. I heard it on the radio. It's the Greg Roman offense all over. It's not the Greg Roman offense. It's not. They've already thrown more passes in this game. Even to Zay Flowers, like we even saw when Rashad Bateman was in, he wasn't getting that many catches when he was the main guy. So we've already seen a difference. What we're seeing is they don't have everybody on the field. Ronnie Stanley and Linderbaum go out in week 1. Then Odell gets hurt with an ankle. Rashad Bateman's out with a hamstring. They don't have everybody together. Now, look, they probably won't ever have 100% everybody on the field at one time. They're just not going to. But losing J.K. early in the season, I think, was a huge loss for this team because I've been saying it even in the Flacco years, right? How this team is built is they build their plays off the run game, right? When the Colts realized only Lamar is going to be really running the football after Kenyon Drake fumbled it, you know how Harbaugh is about picking guys in the doghouse. And when they realized Lamar was the only one really getting the ball, really in any kind of impact plays, they were like, all right, we'll just we'll let them get the yards because Melvin Gordon isn't going to burn anybody. We'll be able to tackle him in space. He'll get 5 or 4 yards or whatever. We just got to make sure we contain on Lamar. And that's pretty much what they did. what baffled me was this Colts. Now the front four for the Colts is really good. They're really good. That secondary though is trash. That secondary is like ranked near the bottom of the league, and they didn't attack it at all.
They had
Like
injuries.
this is a
They had guys out.
they had guys hurt,
Yeah.
right? And that's what didn't really I didn't drive with me. It was like, yeah, if you're getting blitzed, okay, that's another thing they have to work on. They said coming into the game, Gus Bradley, on average, blitzes about, they said 17 to 18% on average. He blitzed almost 38% in this game. Teams are now, because, and this was like it was last year. Remember after the Dolphins game, we saw right after the Dolphins game when the Ravens couldn't handle the blitz, every team, whether they blitzed or not, blitzed the Ravens. If they were going to blitz anybody, they were going to blitz the Ravens. And here we go again. They don't have Ronnie Stanley in. They don't have Tyler Linderbaum. So what they do, they blitz the entire game. And this is my issue, have been my issue with the Ravens offense, no matter who's running plays, doing plays. They cannot adjust at all. We saw the Colts adjust mid-game.
Yep.
We saw the Colts adjust mid-game, even on defense. We saw everybody adjust mid-game to what was happening. The Ravens, too many times, have to wait until halftime to make some kind of adjustments. And then if that doesn't work, well, I hope, maybe we'll luck up and somebody will get a pick or get a fumble or something, and maybe we'll win the game that way. And too many times the Ravens are stuck in that mode where they can't even make adjustments during the middle of the game. And that's where I think where Harbaugh doesn't really make the mark for me when you call, say, elite coaches in the NFL. Because when you got a guy like an Andy Reid, like a Kyle Shanahan, I'll even say Mike McDaniel now in Miami. Like when you got guys that, you know, whether it be on offense or defense side of the ball, can see things happening and need to adjust some things. They may not know the scheme. They may not know this, but hey, we need to run the ball more. Hey, let's do more play action pass. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. Harbaugh's been a coach now for over a decade. You would have thought by osmosis now that he would have picked up on something, right? He would have put on some kind of seeing the flow of the game and adjusting accordingly. But the Ravens, like I said, when you can point out the touchdown where the defense makes an adjustment, and then from that point on until the fourth quarter, they don't do anything. They do nothing. And they even said, it made one of the commentators, I think, after the game, post game, made a good point. And said you just saw the Ravens after the Kenyon Drake fumble get real conservative in their play call. They just did not want to turn the ball over at that point. So like, okay, we're not going to throw it downfield. We're not going to throw it in traffic or anything. We just don't want to turn the ball over. So again, in a true Harbaugh fashion, they play not to lose. And usually when you play not to lose against a tough opponent, you're going to lose the football game. You got to play to win these games. You got to play to win these games. And too many times we've seen Harbaugh, look confused on the sideline because they're, again, playing. And he probably told Monken, hey, we probably shouldn't be doing that. I don't want to turn the ball over again. I don't want to do it. We're having fumbling issues. Look, we get it. There are times in the game, quarterback's going to throw maybe a couple of interceptions. What's his name? The Commanders, Sam Howell threw like 4 picks in that game.
Yep.
He threw like 4 picks this weekend. They still kept throwing the football. Like you got to stick to your game plan. You can't go away from that just because things are not going the way you're supposed to. Like fumbles and interceptions, in the game that it was wet and everything else. That kind of stuff happens. But with the secondary as bad as it was, you have Zay Flowers. The fact that they didn't utilize him, they kept using him underneath, never letting him stretch the field, work the middle of the field. Like I did not understand that. And get Andrews more involved. He's been back for 2 weeks now. We need to see him more involved in this offense. I don't know if it's Lamar having 2 options and always picking Zay, but they got to get Andrews more involved now because everybody's now starting to key on Zay. Like if Mark's not going to get the ball, they're like, well, if you're going to keep keying on one person, you got to throw this around. Like we saw in week 2, they threw to 8 different receivers during that game, 8 different receivers. But somehow, some way, they forgot what they did last week and didn't do it in week 3. Yeah. How many times have we seen that now? Where they play a great brand of offense in one week, and then the very next week, what happened?
Yeah,
I feel like sometimes Harbaugh and these coaches overthink themselves. They like, well, they're going to prepare for this, right? So we're going to do that. You got to have that Bill Belichick mindset, that Andy Reid mindset. This is our game. This is what we're going to do. And until somebody stops it, This is how we're gonna run it. We're gonna keep playing our game. And that's the Ravens have always been successful when they can run the football and do play action pass and rollouts. When they can, we talked about this in preseason. They were like, imagine Lamar in that run game. They can do rollouts, having the line come with him, forcing the entire defense come to that side of the field because you still have to contain for Lamar, but then still having Zay Flowers or Bateman or somebody else having these guys layered across the field wide open.
Yeah.
Because everybody if they see Lamar taking off any side of the field, everybody's going. But we haven't seen any of that yet.
Yeah.
They've been
real safe.
They're playing too safe. And that's what gets me, right? They're playing way too safe. They got to open it up.
I saw on a couple of those drives, Zay Flowers, his routes were literally just run up. It was like stop routes. You just run up 15 yards, turn around.
That was it. Made nothing downfield. There was nothing downfield against this secondary. Like you guys said, that has injuries.
And I guess they were trying to like supplement the run because they couldn't run the ball, I guess.
Yeah.
But it
once Gus went down, that was it. When Gus I saw when Gus went out, that was it. The game was over when Gus went out. Gus left, any semblance of any kind of offense they had was gone. And they just told Lamar, all right, Lamar, just go run. They just told Lamar, just go run and go get yards. That was the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So, look, like you guys said about Likely and other players on special teams, they clearly did. They obviously don't practice on special teams, or at least they're not on the punt return unit. So they didn't know what their assignments were or stuff like that. That's on coach. That's coaching. Because you got to have everybody prepared, regardless if they are in that unit or not. You got to have, if they're going out there and you know that they normally don't do punt return, hey, you stay with this guy. Don't overrun the football. Just tell them those simple things just to get them through the play, right? That's on coaching, where these guys are mid-game not knowing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, enough of that. On to Colorado gets crushed by Oregon in a
bloodbath.
Still one of the most watched games of the weekend. Obviously, I know I was watching. I watched it all through the end. It was, apparently there was a race war that was started with Colorado, Oregon, because some of the tweets that were coming out, somebody that works for one of the sport networks, whatever, was like, Oregon's doing this for all of us, and everybody black was like, what do you mean by who's all of us? What are you talking about? They were like, I did not know that Oregon and Colorado was going to start a race war. I was like, like the amount of like everybody, again, we all said this, like, and everybody knows that everybody was going to be waiting and when Deion was going to lose that first game. Everybody's going to be waiting. I didn't think they were going to lose that bad, but I did expect them to lose this game. Simple fact that, look, Oregon has been, at least for the last 10 years, they've been in that playoff discussion, for a while now. They've been in this environment before. You could clearly see that front line for Colorado just was no match for Oregon. They were on both sides. They were no match for Oregon at all. Oregon's offense just they allowed their Bo Nix to be clean the whole game. And Colorado couldn't get any pressure, and then losing, not having Travis Hunter out there was, the Oregon, they were doing whatever they wanted. Receivers, wide running backs, did whatever they wanted in that game. I thought it was interesting the coach made that pre-game statement about Deion saying they doing this for clicks, and they doing this because they want to be shining, all this stuff. It's amazing the style of stuff they'll make up about Deion. Deion has said nothing to nobody. He hasn't talked trash about any team he's played this season. Nothing. He's talked about his team and his preparation for the game. He has said nothing about the opposing team. Yet every coach now, since Colorado State, has been talking trash about Deion Sanders. And we've all said, like, look, we know. Some people are like, well, the national championship hopes for Colorado have been dashed. I'm like, who said Colorado was going to the national championship game? Who in their right mind thought a 1-11 team was going to turn around in the transfer portal and become a national champion? Like, no, like that was idiotic. First of all, I think everybody, a real goal for them, 10 wins. They can get 10 wins, even 10 wins, and a bowl game. Deion's on a recruiting trip right now. This is a recruiting season for Deion right now. So no matter what everybody is saying, national media wise, and people on Twitter saying he finally got humbled and all this other stuff, Deion's doing that work behind the scenes. Dion is getting contacts. He's getting already guys probably messaging him, "Hey, I'm going to enter the transfer portal next year and go to Colorado." He's getting guys to switch schools already who are committed to other schools are not going to be committed to Colorado. So he's bringing a different. He's showing an element at Colorado, right? You said you can go to Kansas, you can go to Alabama, you can go to Auburn if you want to, but come to Colorado, we're bringing the black experience. For the majority of these guys are black players. We got the black experience at Colorado. Where are you gonna want to play football? So I mean, it's Dion. Dion, no, that's why Dion's not saying anything. Dion was very humble. He's like, we got our butts whipped. It was an old-fashioned butt whipping. He was, we're all moving on to the next game. They got USC this week, and it gets harder after this goes on. But I don't think Dion is worried. I don't think Colorado's worried. I guarantee you, like I said, the school president's probably working on an extension for him right now. For the next several years. So, it was a bad loss by Colorado, but I think they'll be fine the rest of the season.
Yeah, they'll be good. I mean, this was a butt kicking. I think deep down, I kind of expected they was gonna get their butt whipped just because no Travis Hunter. I mean, that's their best player. I mean, what are you gonna do without your superstar? And we gotta be real with ourselves. Like, it's not like their defense is that phenomenal. I mean, they have a couple of pieces over there, but they don't really have the defensive line is not a formidable defensive line at this point. This team is still a few players away recruiting wise to get to where they want to be. The defensive line is not that great. The offensive line is not that great. Most of the team, like without Travis Hunter there, I mean, it wasn't that hard for them to kind of manage that offense. It wasn't really that much to do. I mean, Oregon, what they're known for is high-powered offense. It's been that way for the past, like you said, 10 years or so. So we knew that it was going to be an uphill battle for Colorado from the beginning. But that's not to knock what they've done this far, but we just have to be realistic. I mean, Colorado has had like over 100 points scored in them in 3 games. Yeah. Like, let's be real. Like, it just is what it is. But we can't forget what's happening here behind the scenes. Because like you said, Dion still has, he's still on a mission, and that mission extends way past just winning and losing these primetime games and these national games. I mean, like you said, it's all about the recruiting, and I'm kind of excited to see what next year is going to bring, because the fact that he's on this recruiting tour right now, which is the season, essentially, it's about putting that culture on display, and that's going to be, that's going to be favorable for a lot of guys that are coming out of their senior year and they have a decision to make. And who's not going to want to play for Prime when you hear him on the telephone when he calls your house? I mean, I know I would. I mean, I don't really, come wherever they're from, it's going to be a favorable position no matter what. And that team's going to get better. I mean, the fact that they did what they did in the first couple of weeks tells you that they're going to be in the picture regardless of what people may say. So, and these other teams, I mean, I think it's going to be like this every week. I mean, these head coaches, they're going to look for anything to rile their guys up for the game and things like that. It's a very easy target that Colorado has on their back just because of who they are and how they got here, how they were created, how this team was structured, and who's leading the team. So it's a very easy target for these other teams to come in and do what they do. But I mean, Colorado, they talk their fair amount of trash too, because I've seen some clips. They was all over their Oregon field and
stomping on the logo,
and I mean, so it goes both ways. But I think it's at the end of the day, it's all in fun. Ain't really nobody out there about that, like, for real. But I think now that the hoopla, is going to settle down now. I don't think every game is going to be like the Colorado versus Colorado State game, like with all of the hoopla and all the celebrities and all of this. I think now, you got your butt kicked. You're not unstoppable, but at the same token, other teams still need to show up. Like, you're not just about to show up against Colorado and walk over them. Every team is not going to be Oregon. Every team is not going to be USC. Who they got this week? And that might be a whole different story, because you got Caleb Williams. It might get ugly. I don't know, and I don't think Travis is coming back this week, even though he wanted to. So that's going to be another week with him out. So with him not being on the field, I don't feel too great about their chances moving forward. But teams get their butts kicked in college. Like it just is what it is. Every
that's all
player,
I'm saying.
if you don't go to like Alabama or LSU or something, you're going to get stomped out at some point in your college career. So this loss, these going to take it on the chin, pause, and they're going to move on from it.
Why are we so immature, yo?
I don't know, man. Cameron did this, man.
That's all Trey. That's all Trey.
Cameron did this.
Yeah. Somebody did this. I thought this was the more winnable game out of the next two games. I was wrong. Apparently, next week is the more winnable game because USC doesn't run the ball and their defense is trash. Yeah, I don't know. I knew these games would be tough. I knew the rest of the schedule was going to be tough. I think Roland said it best in the chat. We saw week one. They don't have an O-line or a D-line. The key is to run the ball on them and rush Shador. We saw that completely done in this game, along with the first-round pick receiver going off. Yeah, I mean, I'm not down. I haven't lost hope in Colorado, Dion. I think, my expectations from the jump is that they could be a bowl team this year. And then next year they could be a contender. Dion still needs time to get his guys in there. But I think the one thing that is really concerning to me is just everybody's response to this loss. I mean, when I tell you MAGA Twitter came out in full force over a college football game. Yeah. I've never seen so many politicians commenting on a college football game. And it was just coming rampant. And it's sad just to see so many people just hate on something so positive happening. You got kids getting a great chance. You've seen them being instilled by a coach that actually cares about them. That clip that clip with Dion talking about what Travis Hunter texted him and what he said, I guarantee you Nick Saban is like, all right, let's play this week.
Right.
I guarantee you Jimbo Fisher's like, let's play this week. Mm-hmm. But Dion cares about these kids. So, right. The hate that they're getting right now is just trifling. All in all, I don't know if they win this week. I don't have high hopes for it. But I just hope they put up a better showing. I mean, yeah, I think they can definitely put up a better showing. And I want to see Shador get a chance to bounce back. I know the O-line didn't really hold him down. His receivers didn't hold him down. But, one thing about Shador that's a big glaring flaw is he doesn't know when to get rid of the ball. This man takes more hits than he ever should. It's like
Lamar.
I mean, sometimes it looks like David Carr out there, just loving to take hits. So, I hope they have a good game. I want to see Shador bounce back. I want to see Shiloh have a big game. So we'll see. This is a big stage. They're playing against the number 1 draft pick next year. So this is a big stage for them to really show what they can do, and I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, it's in Boulder. So that's going to be packed, man. That's going to be – I'm trying to get to Boulder this year just for one of their home games at this point.
I want to see Reggie Bush out there.
Right. Oh, that would be dope. And Reggie, now that he's, he's suing the NCAA right now, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's welcome. He's welcome in Boulder.
Yeah. And Travis, I think MAGA Twitter is still mad at them chairs, man.
Yeah, they still mad at their chairs.
They will never lose that. That's permanent.
I'm waiting on. I know it's off topic, but I'm waiting for the folding chair celebration in the NFL. Like for a touchdown. That's what I'm waiting for.
I thought some team, I don't know if it's going to be college or pro, that was going to come out with folding chairs at some point.
That's going to come with a suspension.
That's going to be a fine. You already know they're going to put in money. Like, look,
I just want to see somebody throw their hat off.
We're going to get fined. Throw their helmet right. No, that's got to be a game winning. That's got to be one of those game winners, right? They win the game. They do like the Stephon Diggs, throw the helmet, and then the chairs come out and just that we're gonna get fined for this, so we're just gonna put it into the pot or whatever. We're gonna split it. We're gonna split the bill.
OBJ, if you're watching this podcast, that needs to be your touchdown.
Yeah,
first game back.
Before we leave too, also Danny Cannell obviously I don't know if you guys have seen him trash Dion since he got to Colorado. And he obviously was gloating and Dion losing. I didn't realize this, but Danny Cannell was the quarterback for the Giants when Dion had one of his pick sixes where Dion was like high stepping from the 30-yard line into the end zone. So he's just mad at Dion because Dion made him look stupid. Probably forced him out of the NFL.
Yeah,
Dion's right. That's just funny. Danny keeps tweeting and stuff, and they keep posting and stuff. Dion's never said a word to him, never responded to him or anything. I liked what Shador said though. I don't know if you guys saw what it was, Shiloh or Shador. Not Shador. Deion Sanders Jr., the eldest one. He was like, he is a pure hoe. He said, Danny Cannell, you are a pure hoe.
I love the energy. I love it.
And I was like, you don't need anything else after that, man. Like, for real. Like, you are a pure hoe. And I was like, dude, you can't be having this grudge over, like, it's Deion Sanders, man.
Yeah.
Best of all, one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Go do something else better with your time, for real.
Yeah.
On to the next one because we got to talk about it. Do the Broncos need to be relegated? And for those of you who are European soccer fans, the Premier League and I think most other major leagues, right? You have to win a certain amount of games each season to stay in the top league. If you lose a certain amount of games, I think it's the bottom three teams or clubs each year was called get relegated to the next level, like that, whatever the bottom level is. It's like three different tiers. If you don't win enough games in the Premier League, you get relegated. After that, I have never
70 points
in my lifetime seen an NFL team give up 70 points. That was embarrassing. That was the kind of loss watching. It's one thing if they lost like we've seen 50 burgers all the time. We've seen 50 burgers plenty of time. That was a kind of loss that tell me the team just gave up. There was a point in the game where the team we quit. They ain't playing no more. I don't feel like I don't care. They quit.
Two running backs, and they both had 200 yards.
200 yards.
And 2 touchdowns apiece.
And they had, they had 70 points with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They could have put up more points. Yeah, but Mike McDaniel was like, "Yeah, we'll stop right here." So that's even worse. The team felt sorry for you. Like, we're just not. That's enough. That's enough. It's enough of a whooping.
It's like they were playing Madden, like Madden scores. Like
that was insane.
Like you playing your little brother on Madden or something.
Yeah. with what the Broncos gave up to get Russell Wilson. And he's been playing better this year. He hasn't been as bad. He's been playing better this year. But what they traded a first rounder and a second or third rounder, I think, for Sean Payton. And all that trash he talked in the preseason about Nathaniel Hackett, which is everybody knows that's a cardinal sin. You never, as a head coach, talk about the previous coach. When the coach is fired or resigns or whatever, you were talking about your coaching error here. You don't talk about what happened last season. This is this season. And he had to open his mouth and say that was the worst coaching performance I've ever seen by a head coach. And here you are making history, getting 70 points dropped on you.
Yep.
I don't care what else happens the rest of the season. Like 70 points in an NFL game. Let me talk about college. We see it in college. That's expected, right? We saw that first 2-3 weeks of college football, guys getting 80 points dropped on them. We've seen that. NFL, that's unacceptable. Yeah. When you lose that kind of game, that's when people get fired. That's when people get fired. For real. Like you would see the quarterback get traded or released. The head coach got fired. The GM gets fired. Like that's when the heads start to roll. You lose 70 points. 70 points as a defense.
Yeah, it's bad.
70 points. Have some pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it ain't really nothing you can say. Like you just got their butts kicked. I didn't even watch the game. I didn't watch the game. I still want to go back just to watch. Like
I saw the highlight. I just kept getting alerts.
I didn't even catch. I saw like a Tyreek Hill highlight of him scoring a touchdown. I didn't even really see any highlight. I need to go back and watch this game because I honestly still don't understand like how that could happen. Like 70 points, 8 minutes still left in the fourth quarter. Like as the coach, like what is the defense doing? Like I don't understand. Like are these just starters getting run on? Like I I only had words. Like 70 points, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't think I've ever seen. When was the last time that's happened? Like
It said 66, I think was the last time.
Yeah.
1966.
A year where probably this stuff probably happened back then.
All
Like,
the time, right? Yeah.
just running through,
It's bad teams.
Yeah, but Sean Payton, like, you really came back to the game to give us this. Like, this is like a stain on your resume now. Like, you won a Super Bowl. People know you for being a solid coach. Drew Brees has been propping you up his whole career, and you come back with Russell Wilson. It's not like Russell was scrub. Yeah, he had a down year, but that's still Russell Wilson. And your defense does this. Like, it's just not a good look. I don't see if they have another loss, they're not going. I'm not even going to say not, because who knows? They're not going to lose by 70 points anymore. But like I said, who knows? But if he has another loss like that, he got to go.
Something got to happen.
Yeah, he got to go. He got to
go. If they put up 50 on him next week, you got to go.
Yeah, you can't because usually the coach they'll have the quarterback to blame. You can't blame Russell. I mean, they put up 20 points. It ain't like they put up 3 points, 6 points, 11 points. Like, they still put up 20 points. The fact that your defense allowed 70 points, like, even if you have the worst team in the NFL, as a coach, you cannot let that you can't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense. 2 rushers for 400 yards rushing and 4 TDs for two different running backs. I had Miami's backup running back on my bench in fantasy.
It was an Aiken.
Yes, or whatever.
He went off. Yeah,
I had the backup running back, and I had him on my bench, and he had scored like 40-something points. And he's going to stay on my bench this week because he's not playing y'all.
Yeah, right. He's not going to do that this week.
It was just, yeah, it was a shame. That was the worst performance I've heard of. But I'm going back and watch that tape because I need like real explanations. But yeah, I am starting to believe that Sean Payton is trash. Like, the fact that, your coaching did not translate to Denver Broncos whatsoever at this point. That's just a very embarrassing game. Like, he really can't. He's not really allowed to talk trash at all for the rest of the season. Yeah,
just shut up.
He'll be lucky to still be there at the end of this year.
Yeah, you can't give up 70 points and expect to keep your job. I mean, look, for the job that Hackett did last year, he went 5-12. You 0-3 right now, so you look a little bad. And Hackett also ain't give up 70 points. And it says something. Mike McDaniel. Did you see the memes about him being like the Denver ball boy? He didn't even get an interview for the head coaching job. When
that was clearly that was a vengeful game right there. That was in his spirit.
And they could have had the record. They were a field goal away from the record. The record was 72.
Take the field goal.
And they pulled back on it. They pulled back because he was being a class act.
A class act, right? By not putting the 73 points system.
Class act, not breaking the record is great.
Right. Yeah, Low Logic was being a class act. So yeah, it was a tough game to watch. Sean Payton is looking real bad. It's looking like Drew Brees carried you. That's what it's looking like right now.
Real Urban Meyerish right now.
Real Urban Meyerish, you're right. But
ego.
He's losing the team though. You got guys coming out talking about how they're tired of losing and this and that. Guys don't say that this early if you're
in week 3.
You're starting to lose the locker room. I mean, you dissed their former coach, and this is essentially the same squad for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're losing the locker room. If something doesn't improve in the next 3 weeks, Sean Payton's going to be out of there.
It's new ownership. They don't have any ties really. It's like even Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
but
it's a young man's game.
Yeah. All right. Well, on to Ravens Browns preview. Before we get to the game part, we did get some good news this week. The injury report came out, and Gus Edwards is a full participant, so he cleared concussion protocol, so he is going to be playing. Linderbaum was back at practice today, and so was Ronnie Stanley was back. Marcus Williams also back. So
surprised at that one.
They were talking 7-8 weeks
Right.
for him and his pec muscle, and he's back already at practice. So
What kind of PED he got?
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. But I don't know what
Deer
that
antler
staff
spray.
gave him. I
He
don't know
got
what
that
that
deer
staff
antler
gave him,
spray.
but yeah, they gave him something.
Gave him that Ray Lewis spray, man.
They gave him that deer antler spray, right? That deer antler spray. They gave him something. They gave him that A-Rod spray. That's what they gave him.
That
That
tear must
A-Rod
have been-
cocktail.
That tear must have been like minute. Like
It
must
had
have-
to be very small. Yeah.
How you come back before Tyus? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They still haven't addressed what they just said. Tyus got a leg injury. They haven't said what it is.
Man.
He's now apparently him and
Does he have
Justice
a-
Hill were on the practice field today, but they weren't practicing with the team. They were on like the side. Tyus Bowser has been on the PUP he's on IR or whatever, whichever list it is. But I think he's eligible to come back next
non-football
week.
injury list or something.
He can come back next week, apparently. So
Okay.
if he's on the practice field next week, great. I won't even ask what the issue was. If he's on the practice field next week, because I think he's been a big part of why that Ravens defense, we were been saying about setting the edge, and even just he's been great at pass coverage and run and setting the edge in the run.
Yeah.
Like he is phenomenal in that role. Not as an edge rusher, but he is phenomenal. That Jarrett Johnson, like you guys said, Dalius Thomas role, court, like he is phenomenal in pass coverage, which all they have right now is Roquan, really. But if he comes back, that's going to hopefully add another element to this.
Yeah.
Now on the Brown side, Amari Cooper was out, not injury related. He was a rest day. Garrett is out for a rest day, and Zadarius Smith was out for a rest day. Watson was on the injury list with a right shoulder issue. That could have came from groping people. I don't know. Groping people too much. Kareem Hunt has a ribs groin issue, so
he just got there.
He has a ribs groin. I don't know what rib
just pulled up.
what Kareem was doing. I don't know what he was doing, but he's got a ribs groin thing, so he didn't practice.
We should have signed him.
But most of them are pretty healthy for the most part. So, Ravens, they're not. The Ravens aren't home, right? They're playing.
We're playing in Cleveland.
They're in Cleveland this week. So
the Elf Stadium.
Let me just pull up when weather Sunday real quick. So yeah, weather for Sunday, 75 degrees.
That'll be good.
Almost no wind, no low humidity. Perfect day for football. So they're not going to have the same issues they had. They're playing obviously in Browns and with the elf on the field, elves on the center field and stuff at the yard line. The Browns defense has been pretty good these 3 weeks. Myles Garrett has been phenomenal thus far. Zadarius Smith's been really good. Denzel Ward. They've always had a pretty good defense for the last few years. The question about this game obviously is going to be which Deshaun Watson are we going to get? That's going to be the real key to this game. We already know Ford is the running back. I don't know if Kareem Hunt is going to be ribs groin issue, if he's going to be available for this game, or they got to hit the practice squad as well to get ready for this game. Offense wise, they can be had. I think the defense not having Owe out there again, Ajabo again. It's only Wednesday. Guys could come back tomorrow. I don't know. But as of right now, you're down outside linebackers. You got Kyle Van Noy coming in, but he's brand new. You're getting Marcus Williams back, which is good. So it's going to allow at least Kyle Hamilton to kind of play, more freelance stuff than, what he's had to play before. Geno Stone could be on the field a little bit more as well. We saw Darius Washington get hurt. So, he's not going to be out there for a while. Pepe Williams still isn't out there. Marlon still isn't practicing. It's week 3 now. Week 4. He's still not practicing. I don't know what's going on with him. But they still have been playing good defensive football even without those guys up to this point. Clowney's going to have a big, they already interviewed him. Are you going to have any animosity towards the Browns in this game? And he said he doesn't. But you know how players are when they go play. I know, teams they used to play for, they want to show out. So he's been their defensive lineman for the last 3 weeks. I think he's going to continue to play well as long as he doesn't get hurt. I think I wouldn't expect Hamilton to blitz as much in this game, just because Deshaun Watson can move, like he can run. So I wouldn't expect Deshaun Watson I don't expect Hamilton to be blitzing that much in this game. So they're going to try to do more contain and keep Watson in front of them. Stevens, he is what he is. You know, like Amari Cooper obviously is their best receiver. They got David Njoku at tight end, who's been giving the Ravens problems for a few years now. So they got to monitor him. Hopefully with Roquan there, though, they kind of shut that down. Again, I'm not so much worried about the Ravens defense against the Browns offense. It's the Ravens offense against that Browns defense. Because we've seen now, like I've said, any team that's coming against the Ravens right now is blitzing. They're blitzing the Ravens. And you already got Myles Garrett on the front four. Hopefully Ronnie Stanley. If Ronnie Stanley is 100% and Tyler Linderbaum are 100% and they're ready to go, that could be a huge get for the Ravens in this game. If they can somewhat contain Myles Garrett. If they can we've seen this, right? If they can give Lamar a clean pocket, I don't think this is a close game. I think the Ravens have enough weapons, even with Odell out and Bateman potentially out. I think they said Laquan Trevorrow may get called up from the practice squad. You still got Zay, you got Nelson Aguilar. You still got Likely, Kolar, Andrews. You got to work in these guys, you know, when other guys are out. You're going to have to find a way to get something happen. You just got Duvernay. You got to work on getting things happening. You got Gus still. Justice Hill, if he's available to play at all this week, because they were talking about it during the game. The Ravens have no outside run right now. Without Lamar doing anything, option plays outside, they have no outside run. Everything's up the middle. Like there's no way for them to stretch the field east to west. There's nothing. So they're keeping everybody in the box, and there's nothing for them where to go. They got to find a way to get some speed. Again, I said maybe getting Duvernay involved, even Zay Flowers involved, simulating some kind of run game. If Justice Hill's not going to be out there running the football, they got to throw. We said this in the review for the Colts. They got to attack. They can't be worried about Denzel Ward being back there. They can't. I know Myles Garrett is, but you still got to play your game. They got to attack. We've seen too many times with these Ravens is if they don't attack early and often, they're going to lose. Mm-hmm. If the Ravens offense isn't clicking by the end of the first half, or even by the end of the first half, they aren't clicking and they're having issues, they're not going to win this football. I just don't see it. I just don't, because the Browns are going to make adjustments. Kevin Stefanski and them are going to make adjustments, and the Ravens offense is like, well, we don't know if their first plan isn't working. We've seen how it happens. Todd Monken's got to have a redeemed game after this because last week was atrocious. Mm-hmm. You got to let Lamar also has to be more decisive in what he's doing too as well. Because there were times in that Colts game where he hesitated. But you got to give him some more options. Like you said, these stop and curl routes aren't working. Like you got to give the defense something to make a play. Make the defense make a play. If they make a great play, get the hand up or not stretch out and stuff like get the ball, fine. They made a phenomenal play on the ball or whatever. But make them make that play. You got a guy like Zay Flowers, let him cut across the middle on some post routes, getting guys, letting Lamar just throw it out there for Zay to run underneath of it. Mark Andrews over the middle of the field for the last 4 years has been one of the most effective weapons in the NFL next to Travis Kelce. Get him the ball more. Mm-hmm. Even if that sacrifices Zay Flowers getting some catches in this game, they got to find a way where the Browns can't key on one person. They got to go back to week 2. You can't key on one person. If they start keying on Mark Andrews, all right, let's get Likely more involved. And again, you got to have if guys are dropping the football, that's one thing. You got to keep throwing on the football. You got if they drop it once, whatever. Like you can't not go back. You got to keep throwing the football. You don't have any other options right now on offense, receiving wise. The guys are falling off like flies. You only have these guys. You got to get them the football and let them make plays. Let's say it's a dry game, so they shouldn't have any issues with that. But I think the Ravens. What we need before I turn it over to you guys, what we need to see from the Ravens, what we haven't seen, I think, under Harbaugh ever, is just them to attack the entire game. Don't let up. Don't feel comfortable at any point, even if you're up by 14. Don't feel comfortable at all in this game. I'm tired of seeing games where we see other teams like the Dolphins, they're just attacking all game. Like, we're not going to stop. We're going to put up. If we put up 50, we put up 50. Like, it is what it is. Don't get comfortable in the game. Oh, we're up by 13, 14. Let's just relax. Let's just run the football. We got to punt the football. Don't give them opportunities to come back in this game. You got the Browns this week and the Steelers next week. The division in week 2 looked a lot different than the division does now in week 4.
Yeah.
Everybody's almost at 2-1 or 2-1 2-2, 2-1. What? Everybody's close right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's close right now. The Ravens could find, if they don't get it together this week and next week, could find themselves at the bottom of the division if they don't get their act together. Plain and simple. They have enough pieces on offense and defense to win this football game. The Browns aren't world beaters. They're competitive. They've always been competitive against the Ravens. But I think the key again to this game, get Gus Edwards, make sure he keeps getting the ball. Got to get Mark Andrews and those tight ends more involved in this game. They got to get more involved. As much as Monken, they praised Monken at Georgia, even before he got here, about how he used the tight ends at Georgia. I haven't seen it yet here. I haven't seen it. And you got Collard, you got Andrews, you got tight ends to use. I want to see it more. That's going to allow for Zay Flowers to get more open, allowing him to get the deep passes and stuff that he needs to excel. And Lamar, again, just work on. I don't know if they got to do that football thing like in a movie, The Program. They got to just hold the football and walk around the building and just have guys just trying to hit it out. Like if Lamar's got to do that to work this week to kill on to the football, then so be it. But again, like the fumbles, even if you recover them, you can't keep doing it. You got to hold on to the football. Can't turn the ball over. So I think the defense keep playing the defense they've been doing, but offense has got to attack. They got to attack. You got to get the defense a little bit of a break because they're getting gassed out there. We saw that at the end of the game. They were playing and they had their hands on their knees, like they were bending over, like they were gassed. They were tired. And you gotta, as an offense, string some of these 8-9 minute drives together and give these guys a break.
Yeah, I mean, I like that game plan. Honestly, I mean, it like we were just saying earlier, we were definitely playing way too conservative in this game last week. I think you just gotta let them cook. You let those guys cook. We supposed to be running like a spread offense, and they haven't been spreading the ball. They did not spread the ball that well last week. So, like you said, the more options, the better. And especially with a clean pocket, we've seen that Lamar play at his best. I mean, that is like night and day. So my prediction for this game was actually a lot different up until about maybe 1-2 o'clock today when I saw the injury report, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we're getting some blockers back. We're getting two of our best offensive linemen back. We're getting Marcus Williams back at safety. We're getting Gus back, so we can at least have some type of running attack, where we can kind of mix it up on them. So I feel a lot better knowing that we got those back, mainly our two offensive linemen, just because, like I just said, when Lamar's protected, he's excelling at his best. So, I expect him to actually do that. I think he'll have a little bit more trust back there this week in his game. The conditions won't be a factor. And, he should be able to sit back there and pick this team apart. I mean, they have, excellent pass rush, obviously, led by Myles Garrett. That is definitely still a concern because he's been playing like his prime is like still getting better almost in this season. Like he's not, there's like zero drop off from Myles Garrett over the last couple of seasons. And this season, starting off in the first 3 weeks, even in their losses, like he's been wrecking shop. So we definitely got to do whatever we did in that Bengals game against Trey Hendrickson, we got to do the same thing against Myles Garrett, because what I saw him do last week was pretty ridiculous. And this season so far has been pretty ridiculous. So that's really my only concern as far as protection wise. Yeah, we hopefully, Bateman's, healthy. He's good. Like you said, Aguilar stepping up. Our tight ends, getting them a little bit more involved. I never thought it'd be a time where we need to get our tight ends more involved like that.
Yeah.
That's like something we've never been able to say. So it actually feels good being able to say that. Like, let your tight ends cook too. But I think just overall, just spreading the ball. I love that Zay is getting the most targets. But like you said, we don't want to just lock in to the point where, Zay's getting double and triple team, and they're scheming to stop him, and we're still just throwing him the ball. We got other guys we can get open to make plays as well. But I think we will see those reverse plays again this week, like with Zay and Duve, just because of our running back situation. It's probably the only way they kind of keep it a little bit dynamic. Defensively, I'm not really concerned too much about their offense. I am worried a little bit about Amari Cooper just because for some reason this guy just be open.
Yeah, he
He's
just gets open, right? He's not even that
always
fast. He
open.
just
He
gets open.
doesn't do anything special as far as moves. He doesn't juke people. He just runs his route and he just be chilling by himself, dolo on the sideline, and he's just running up the side. So like, hopefully our secondary is going to be on point. Marcus Williams coming back, we'll have some fresh bodies rotating in and out. He's probably not going to have a full workload, but the fact that we got a little bit more depth back there, he will be the only receiver I'm worried about. And Njoku, he tends to give the Ravens fits too. Like he hasn't had a great season so far, but when we play him for some reason,
Yeah,
it's
he
like
goes
always
off.
a big third down and he's getting the ball. So I still want to worry about that. Hopefully Deshaun Watson doesn't like face mask Kyle Hamilton's helmet off if he blitzes him a few times. But I'm not too, he had a really, really good game this past week, but I'm not overly worried about that. I do hope that we can generate some kind of pressure without having to blitz. I still definitely want to blitz and put pressure on him, but I don't want that to be the only option is to blitz. I would love us to get some natural pressure with our pass rush. And Rowe and PQ just do what y'all been doing. I mean, I literally have so far this season have had no critique of either one of those guys and how they've been playing these offenses this past week. So they just got to keep doing what they do. And we got a lot to back up. Roquan's in the press conference talking trash already. So, I think Rowe is just really having a great ass time in his division. Like he loves this division.
This is his brand of football.
He's talking. Yeah. He said they call themselves, I think, the Dog Pound or something like that. He said, "Well, we dogs too." And I was like, all right. I was like, all right, Roquan, like, okay, buddy, like you got it. But he backing it up every week. So yeah, I think we do. I think we do pull out the win. I do like that we're away as well in this game because for some reason, at the bank, it's like you can almost like feel the
feel the disappointment, right?
Yeah, like that Colts game, we just like I don't know. I was supposed to go to this game too, but I'm just glad I didn't go to that Colts game. But yeah, I think we go in there and we get a dub. I cannot see Lamar Jackson having back-to-back games the way he did with our O lineman coming back. So if our O line can contain Myles Garrett, there's no reason why we don't win this game.
Cool. Yeah, I'll keep it real brief. I think the key to the game: come out, quick throws, screens, and then really just start attacking by getting guys in space. And then as the game goes on, after we build some momentum, longer drives, we start attacking through the air vertically, getting big plays. I think that's going to be the key. That's something that we should have been doing consistently every game. I think this is the game to get it done. The weather is fine. We don't have an excuse there. So we just got to execute. Stanley and Linderbaum are there. I expect the pass rush to be a lot better, but the focus going against this defense is really just keeping Myles Garrett in check. That's hard to do, but we have to. Defensively, I'm not worried. Hey, let's keep mixing it up. I like what I'm seeing with how we're using Kyle Hamilton. Really hope Marcus Williams is back. I want to see turnovers. I mean, we're not seeing enough turnovers from this group. That's probably my biggest criticism right now. Not enough turnovers. Let's make some plays. And where the heck is Jalen Armour-Davis?
He's not even hurt. Like, what is going on?
He was competing for the number 2 corner job, and he's been a healthy scratch 2 out of 3 games.
Just like it was last year.
Last season. Clearly, he's not competing for that number 2 spot.
Yeah.
Especially when Marlon comes back. So I don't. That must not be true.
Darby got him out of here. So
probably would have Darby and Rock.
Yeah, they got him out of here. So I'm expecting the defense to play well. It's really going to come down to the coaches. I need Monken to show me why we got him here. I need him to show me that. I haven't seen this offense be what he said it could be yet. Not for a full game. I want to see it for full quarters. This is a game where you can have some adversity because you're going against one of the top 4 players in the league. in my opinion, in Myles Garrett.
Mhm.
This guy can disrupt the game and make things hard for our offense. Let's see how you scheme it up against him. This is going to be something I'm looking to see from Monken. I'm looking to see Harbaugh to get these guys up and ready to play. So I'm putting it on the coaches. This game is on you. If the coaches come to play, then the players will come to play, and we'll definitely get this victory. And we need to, because Pittsburgh's playing the Texans. They could easily go 3-1. We need to take control of the division this week. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
That's the number one. Cleveland got the
Mhm.
number one defense right now, so this will give us a lot of information going forward
Yeah.
about what to expect.
And I got to see Lamar doing a better job of getting his protections in order as well. Because there have been times where he's moved the receivers around and stuff, but there have been open blitzers come right at him. And had he moved the guy over here or told his lineman, like, hey, look at so and so, then that would have been picked up. But again, I think Lamar, one of his because he can move the way he does when he runs the football, he just feels like, oh, it doesn't matter, I can just run away from him.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that can be a detriment to yourself. Like sometimes your best asset can also be a detriment.
Right.
Because he's like, I don't have to worry about putting a guy over there because I can run after. But if Lamar wants to be more of a pure thrower of the football, or whatever, then he's going to have to rotate his lineman around or move a tight end over here or something like that to even chip Myles Garrett. Just find out where he is. Make sure there's a guy over top, and making sure he can't just run straight at you. So he's got to make sure that, because again, if he has a clean pocket most of the game, then I think the Ravens win this football game. Yeah, like you guys said, I think when Monken has to, these guys listen to the talking heads and stuff. They watch the stuff. When you have the national media talking, man, this looks just like Greg Roman's offense. If I'm Todd Monken, like, all right, man, training wheels are off. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna compare me to Greg Roman's offense now.
Wasn't even true, but
it's not true. Like if you
nowhere
watch
near
the
it.
Ravens game, like
nobody
this
who
is
saw that game would think that.
they're already doing stuff that's very different than the Roman offense. But from the looking at the box score and how the Ravens are executing the drives, and it looks very similar to what they did last year.
Yeah.
These games like this where the offense can't get down the field, everybody's like, looks like the Greg Roman offense. And you start hearing that, like, all right, Monken's like, all right, man, we got to turn it up a little bit. It's time to, like I said, look, you got to, because you see the Chiefs aren't going anywhere. The Bills, are getting better now each week. The Dolphins, I'll say this: as long as the weather's warm, the Dolphins are unbeatable. When they hit December, because last year when they hit December, they didn't win one game in December last year.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's warm out, the Dolphins seem to be unstoppable right now. They got too much speed. They're not going anywhere.
I got that Dolphins Eagles game.
Oh man, yeah.
Sunday Night Football. I think October 22nd week.
Yeah,
whatever. I got that game circle, man.
Yes, I mean, look, it's the AFC is the toughest conference in football right now, hands down. If you're going to have any chance of getting deep into the playoffs, you got to start now. You got to get that offense rolling right now, because we said by the time they hit week 7, week 8 is about usually when they start kind of like, is this team for real or not? So they got to get it going now. I know Odell's not there. I know Bateman might not be there, but you got to work with what you got. I think most teams would love to be 100%, but no team I don't think is ever 100% throughout the season. It's going to be 95, even 85% at best most times. You got to work with what you got. So I don't want to hear any excuses like, oh, we didn't have this guy, we didn't have that. We saw the Packers win a Super Bowl when they had like 12. They had 12 guys on. It was like 12 or 10, 12 or it was like double-digit player starters on IR. Most of them on defense, and they still won a Super Bowl. You got to work with what you got. And that comes down to coaching. Next man up. So before we get out of here, scores. I'll give mine last. Let you guys go.
All right. I think all that being said, I mean, last week didn't give me much promise in the score, but I do think we eclipsed that, that we haven't scored 28 points all year. I think we scored 30. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be 30-24. I mean, I feel like it's pretty ambitious, but I feel like this team is going to respond from their performance last week and put up 30 points. So I'm gonna go ahead with 30-24. I would say in a Ravens win.
I don't say 30, but close. I think Deshaun Watson's gonna start strong and then fade out as we get pressure on him. I think this will be the game. So I'm gonna say 28-17.
Okay. I'm going a little bit lower, actually. I'm going to go 23-17 for the Ravens. I think it'll be a little bit closer. Again, I think that Bengals game was closer than, the score when it was close. The game wasn't as close as the score said it was, but I feel like it's going to be the same type of game for the Ravens and Browns. Like, it's going to appear close on the scoreboard, but I think the Ravens are going to dominate most of the game, I think, on both sides of the ball and kind of be in control of the game. Yeah. So, and I think Tucker makes a 50-yard field goal during this game just for the hell of it, just because he needs to redeem himself. I think Tucker I just need to kick one.
Yeah, he needs to get his confidence back up because I think, we keep putting him in these super long situations and he just paused and he just missed his
Woo.
They keep lining my man up a 60-yard field goal. Like, let that man kick.
Yeah, like, come on, you put it.
There's some 40s in there.
How about you get a first down offense? Like,
right,
stop
like, come on,
let bail you out with these impossible situations. He did it a couple times. You're putting stains on his immaculate
his percentage, right? His percentage is going down, man.
With every one of these 60 yardage, I keep putting him out there for. Let's not put ourselves in position to even have to do that.
No. Give the man some easy ones, man. Give him some, 50 and 45.
Let him remind himself who he is.
Yeah. Let him get on a roll. Let him get like 3 or 4 in a roll. Like, all right.
Yeah, then he'll be back to it. Then he'll be
if he start missing 2, if he miss another 60-yard field goal, he's gonna get down himself. You can't have Tucker down himself. So
don't do that.
All right, so we all picked the Ravens win. I hope they get 30. But we'll see.
I hope so too. That was very ambitious this week, but I just got a feeling, man. I mean, it's how you respond, and they really disappointed all of us. Disappointed themselves last week the way they played that game. Not all to their fault because we still could have won. We're not going to talk about the referees today, but we all saw the game.
If the Ravens did what they did in regulation, they wouldn't even need to get to that point.
Facts. But I think they respond. I can't see them playing.
And Lamar typically plays balls out against the Browns. Like some of his best games have been against Cleveland. So he typically plays well against them. So all right. That's it for today. This week's show. So hopefully the Ravens get this W. And we're back here, a little bit more happy, going starting the Steelers week, Ravens Steelers week after this one. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll catch you guys later.
Peace.